you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast, the hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
I'm host Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. Ladies and gentlemen, there are latest things that makes official. Welcome to the big show. As always, the Chris Voss Show family for 16 years, going on 17 with 2,500 episodes. We're bringing you the most latest, greatest minds on earth. None of them are me. That's why we have guests on the show, because I'm just an idiot with a mic. But for the show to your family, friends, and relatives, go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1 on the TikTokity, and all those crazy places on the internet. Today we have an amazing young man on the show. He's the author of the latest book that just came out September 2nd, 2025. It is entitled Design, Empathy, and Contextual Awareness, Frames of Reference for the 21st Century Creative by Wayne K. Lee. We're going to get into it and some of the insights and how you can utilize his knowledge to make your life better. Wayne Lee is a professor at the Practice of Design and Engineering School of Industrial Design. Will he eventually graduate beyond practice to expert? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe he already is. I just thought the title was funny. He's just practicing right now. Anyway, Wayne is the James L. Oliver Professor, holding joint positions between the Colleges of Design and Engineering at Georgia Institute of Technology. He leads joint teaching initiatives and advances interdisciplinary collaboration between mechanical engineering and industrial design through classes and the Innovation and Design Collaborative, IDC, and Design Block. His research includes ethnographic research. We're going to learn some new words today, folks. Multidisciplinary online education. I think that's what my parents called the beatings. And human-machine interaction in transportation design. His career spans industry and academia, and he's led innovation and market expansion for Pottery Barn, seasonal home products, taught at Stanford University's design program, and led interface development at Volkswagen, of America's Electronic Research Laboratory, and helped corporate brand and vehicle differentiating designs at Ford Motor Company. And he's also worked as a product designer and mechanical engineer at IDEO Product Development. Welcome to the show, Wayne. How are you?
Great to be here, Chris. I'm doing great.
Great to have you. Sorry, I had to do a little bit of riff on the practice title. I thought that was just kind of interesting. It's like,
yeah,
he's a professor of practice.
Yeah, that's right. That distinction just basically means you have to have work experience, right? You've got a lot of work experience and professor, but you've done industry work. Yeah.
What's that online? Practice makes perfect. So give us your .coms. Where can people find out more about you on the interwebs?
Yeah, sure. So you can find me at Georgia Tech. That's just godtech.edu, and then search under my name. My design consultancy is Wayne Lee Design, all one word, WAYNELI design.com. Those are probably the easy ones to find me. And contact info is on the websites.
So your new book, Design, Empathy, and Creative, too many big words today. Design, Empathy, and Contextual Awareness. Tell us about this book, if you would.
Sure. So this all stemmed from an article I wrote for Design Intelligence magazine back almost a decade ago, but talking about what are the ways that we can practice either our behavior or our mindsets to make us more creative, more entrepreneurial, and to help make an impact in society. So empathy and contextual awareness are 2 out of 5 behaviors you can practice. So that's where it all kind of started.
And entrepreneurs, we need as much of this we can possibly get. We're always trying to see outside the box. We're always trying to see things at different angles. Explain to us, let's lay a foundation. What is the definitions of design, empathy, and contextual awareness? Yeah.
So if you think about empathy, right, psychologists have labeled that kind of in 3 different components. But the idea, it's cognitive, emotional, and compassionate concern. So if we take those 3 ideas and apply them in methods on how we might go about making products, services, or businesses for people, how might you do that? If you think about cognitive empathy, it's, do you understand, can you take someone's perspective? All right, can you understand where they're coming from? And
I can do it and not give a shit.
That's right.
What do they call that? Is that design non-empathy?
Well, that's why there's three components too, right? It can't just be, well, I can see where you are, but I really don't care, right?
Yeah.
So,
but you're wrong.
That's usually the emotional part, right? So
Yeah.
you've nailed it. Can you feel someone else's emotions? Can you empathize? If you empathize that way, it's not just saying, oh yeah, okay, I see that you sprained your ankle. I see where you're coming from. It's actually feeling the same pain.
Oh.
And so that's that other part. And so how do you develop those types of that type of behavior or that type of understanding about someone? And there are techniques for that. Like you can. There are method acting techniques. There are diagrams you can fill out. So those types of things you can practice it. You can learn about it. And then that last component is what we call empathetic concern. Now that you know where someone's coming from, you can feel what they're feeling. Are you moved to help? And how much are you moved to help? And so if you're really thinking about a business and you can't empathize with your customer, let's just say it that way, right? So if we go back and say, okay, well, I'm running a car service shop, but I really don't care about the person whose car broke down. Well, that's gonna be a problem, right? Like, but at the same time, you can't. Empathetic concern is a tough one, right? Think about someone like, say, a first responder, right? An ambulance, an EMS technician. If you're emotionally crippled because you're crying along with the person who just got into a bicycle accident. Well, you can't be moved. You can't help because you're basically emotionally a wreck. So you've got to kind of balance that, right? You got to you got to understand where they're coming from, feel their same emotions, let it kind of inherit that. But then you still have to have enough distance, right? That's kind of why doctors have to have that professional distance too, about being able, how can I help? How can what I do as a creator of products and services or as a designer help you now in that situation? So you're really looking at all three when you're thinking about that, right? Yeah, so that's that empathy part. Contextual inquiry or contextual awareness is understanding that all the things we make, someone's got to make them, someone's got to sell them, someone's got to distribute them. And so it's not just enough to know your audience. You actually have to know the ways and means of production. So, right, where is it being used? How is it being used? That's contextual inquiry.
Oh, wow. Contextual inquiry. So it's good to have empathy. It's good to understand these things. And, like I say, when people ask me for empathy on something, I sit and listen to them. And then I go, wow, I feel your pain on that, but I just don't care. And you're delusional and you're wrong. It's kind of how I roll on Twitter. A lot of people roll that way on Twitter, actually.
A lot of people are rolling that way online, right?
So do you lay out the book in a way that this can be used just in life in general, or more like for business applications? Being a CEO, being an entrepreneur.
Chris, great question. Yeah, no, it's a little bit of all of that, right? So even though the book is a design textbook, right? Its original intent is for maybe a junior or senior in undergraduate studies in design, industrial design, graphic, music production, product design, those types of majors, right? It can be used by any professional, I think, right? Any creative professional. So if you're, let's say, if you're creating a startup, maybe you have a change of life and you've worked for 5-10 years, but now you're starting something new. Books for you, right? If it's a young startup and you have a founding team of 4 or 5 people and you're trying to understand your customers better, you've got this interesting, let's say, technology, or thinking you want to create a product of some type, then this book is probably for you too, right? Okay. Music producers, poets, creative professionals, any person that wants to be able to understand their audience better and understand how what they make and how they make it will affect their business model is going to be one of those things that are going to be key. So I think that the textbook's got uses beyond just the target audience.
Yeah, I remember, being able to understand your customer and what they want is really important. I think maybe you've seen too, probably in your research, examples of where people made a product that you're just like, how am I supposed to use this? I remember, one of the things that we always measured in our reviews is how intuitive a product was. And so 9 times out of 10, I would be like, okay, well, I'm going to open up out of the box and try and use it without reading the directions in our reviews.
Right.
And, sometimes we get these PR agents that would be representing the companies and sending us products to review. And they'd be like, hey, just so you know, there's like a certain way you got to go about this and utilizing this product. And this is kind of what it's about. And I'm like, whoa. Hey, if you got to explain it to me, this is a problem. We're looking for intuitive products because most people don't read the instruction manual.
Right.
Man, the instruction manual anyone ever has to read because there's no way around it. It's from IKEA.
Yeah, because it's a pictogram. You don't have to look at it. You don't have to read anything.
And you need to figure out which way is up and learn Mandarin as well. Yeah. So good luck with that.
You're absolutely right about that. I mean, I do legal work and usually expert analysis on product design, and like you said, the simplicity of it and the intuitiveness of it. And you're right. I think there's been some studies out there, you can find them online, that less than 25% of the people actually read an instruction manual, right? Yeah. And that's because the product should be simple. I mean, here's what they usually do. They open up the instruction manual, they look at the first 4 pages, they feel there's 20 pages of legal jargon before you even get to the instructions. So they kind of like, yep, shelving this, and they drop it in that junk drawer, which has all the other instruction manuals in it, right? Yeah. So, and then they just quickly YouTube search, how do I use this blank product? And they see someone using the product online. So that's probably that's how they usually kind of get acclimated to it. So
I got a whole drawer full of that crap.
Exactly. Like, but you got one for your blender, you got one for your coffee maker, you got one for your TV, all of those things. No one really looks at them because the minute you have 12 pages of legal requirements first and safety, like don't put your hairdryer in the shower, that kind of thing, right?
You're not supposed to do that.
Well, they've got to put a label on it, right?
Nope,
so someone did somewhere, and that's always the funny part, right? Yeah. So it's really incumbent on a designer, especially an industrial designer, product designer, to make those products simple, to make those interfaces easy to use, right? I used to design cars for a living at Ford and Volkswagen. I mostly designed the interiors, and
oh, really?
Yeah, exactly. So you don't want to have to, besides the dealer going, all right, look, let me show you how, look, here's where the radio is, here's where the air conditioning controls are. Most people can just get into a car and drive. They don't want to train for 12 hours just to figure out how to use the nav system. So that's some of the research I do at Georgia Tech, is the simplicity and ease of understanding across different cultures for how to use an automobile, right? Yeah. So those things you just would think that they are just that intuitive. Now, here's the interesting thing. Intuition, as far as kind of a mindset to use, that's favored by different types of people. All right. Creative people tend to be more intuitive in the way they approach things. Scientists tend to be more technical in how they approach things. So it's an interesting thing when we talk about these mindsets, that you're going, okay, look, you can be creative. If you're technically minded, you can be creative. If you're creative, you can have a technical mind. Everyone has both sides of that, or all sides of that brain. It's just whether or not they choose to favor it or use it when they need to.
Yeah, it's there were times where I would have they would be like, hey, someone from the company used to call you to explain you how to set this up and work it. Yeah. And I'm like, are they going to call every customer that sees our video for reviews and buys? How is this facilitable? And I remember years ago, I had a good friend who he created a startup in Silicon Valley. He'd worked with Apple and Palm, and he'd been on the team that had built the iPhone, and he had kind of what I saw as a WordPress killer. He wanted to use it for something else, but he had an app that was very kind of interesting, sort of. It was a WordPress killer if it would have been applied right, but I don't think he wanted to apply it that way. And he kind of had his own lane for it. But he, when I first sat down with him, he goes, I want to show you what I'm working on and what I built. Okay, great. And I said, okay, just give it to me and let me play with it for a bit. And, I'll figure it out, because I'm this is what I do for a living. It's kind of intuitive. Right. And I pretty much have a mind that pretty much anything you give me, there's a certain segue of patterns that I know. It's kind of like business. It's once you know how to do business well and you've done enough of them, it's just about the widget, really. Like all the other stuff, filing what to name the company, filing all the filings and the crap you got to do. It's all just business, right? It's the same sort of mechanics. You advertise it, blah, blah, blah. At least it is for me. And so I said, let me play with it. He goes, no, I gotta explain it to you. It's really complicated. And I'm like, it's complicated. And so for the next half an hour to 45 minutes, while I lost my freaking mind quietly in my head, tearing off my face, he had to explain it to me. Wow. And it was a great idea. He's a really smart guy, but some people are maybe too smart for their own good. You gotta let the design team handle some things. And I just remember that. 45 minutes of explaining this to me. And I'm like, are you going to go around to every single bloody customer you're ever going to have and do a 45-minute like, it just doesn't scale, man.
Yeah, that doesn't work. I mean, like, and Chris, you're touching upon it. I mean, there's a design principle there, right? I mean, the idea is, right, first off is, there's a cognitive bias called the Dunning-Kruger effect. So you're a really, really smart person, either technically, like, the technology really well. What's easy to you think's easy for everyone, not knowing that, hey, not everyone is a, PhD technologist, right? So like, so the one hand is like, okay, that's not really very good, right? The other one that so of course, then we're inflicted with bad design all the time. We have products that are hard to use, they're too confusing. There's 15 different menu bars. You have no idea what's going on, right? But there's the other part of this. There's a design principle out there called progressive disclosure, and that basically means is you hide complexity away and you actually empathize with the user first to understand what their learning trajectory is. Yeah, think about every Mario game you've ever played. Yeah. What's the first level in Mario or any first-person shooter video game you've ever played? Get out of the base. Or in Mario, it's can you run left and jump? And that's world 1, right?
Yeah, real simple and easy.
Yeah, simple and easy. But by world 8 or world 5 in Mario, now you're doing all the crazy twists and spins and triple jumps, and you're hitting Goombas off of walls and stuff. You're doing complex procedures. But that's because they bring it out to you slowly.
Would you call that to like
complexity, right? You level up when you go through those things, right?
Would you call that gamification? I think isn't that some of what they call gamification?
It's a little bit of that. It's also just the fact that people who design games, right? They know this concept called progressive disclosure, right? They keep it simple, knowing that you're a beginner, and when you're ready for the complexity, they unfold it for you. So they know that they've empathized enough to know your trajectory, your learning trajectory. So when is this person going to get familiar enough with the product that they level up, and then we will allow the next level to come in?
Yeah.
Like, think about like Google search. Like, again, it doesn't have to be a video game. Google search, right? There's just one blank box. You've never used a computer before, and all you have to do is type something in, and Google will find it for you. But if you're an expert Google searcher, there's that little black triangle on the right. You click it, and it's like, hey, do you want an image? Do you want a news story? Do you want more tools? How big is your image? And now all of a sudden, the expert users know to click the black triangle on the right-hand side. But if you don't know what the black triangle is, it doesn't really matter. So that's progressive disclosure, right? You hide the complexity of something until someone's actually able and lets you know, lets the product know or the service know that, hey, I'm ready for this level of work. That's the good way to design it, because you're right. Your customer service is going to get inundated with calls if it's that complicated right away.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's sometimes I've had to call the PR agency or the company that sent me the product to review, and I'm like, what the F is going on? What is this and what is that and what is everything? And I'm good at being intuitive. Like, I'm pretty good at problem solving too, but man, you don't send me a Rubik's Cube. But yeah, you're right. Like, we've reviewed video games too, where they throw you just right in. They don't do the gamification process, and they just throw you right into the full thing. And you're like, what's going on? Like, and I've quit games like from the get-go. I remember there was some trucker game someone sent us to review, and one of the first things that did is they had you get stuck in the mud and you had to figure out how to get out. Yeah. And you had to figure out how to get out. Like you had to solve the problem without having any sort of. This is like in the first 2 minutes of the game or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, after mucking about for like 30 minutes with it, I was like, fuck off. Like, I fuck your game. They're like, hey, we're gonna review that. No. It's just, anything that's stupid in the first 2 minutes is just gonna get stupider.
Yeah. No, I definitely, I can definitely understand where you're coming. I've definitely had a video game where that first level was something that probably the people who developed the game, and you got to remember the people that developed the game have been play testing it for like 500 hours.
Oh yeah, they're up in their own freaking private Idahos of shit.
Yes.
And,
So you're like, hey, well, you're only on the first level, but you've got this 6-button combination that you got to do in sequence. You didn't know about that? I'm like, no, I just learned how to like run and jump at this point, or I learned how to aim and shoot, and that's about it. Oh yeah, no, you have to do this and do all this, and you're like, okay, that's probably too difficult, and you're just going to give up. I want them just going up to YouTube or Google and going, okay, anybody got past level 1-3 on this? And then there's just comment after comment after comment going, yeah, that's impossibly difficult, but it's worth it. Once you get past it, then the rest of the game is easy. Like if I have to struggle for 2 hours just to get to the point where the rest of the game is easy, do you think you could have flipped that, right, and made that difficulty ramp up a little more gradually? And then you feel good at the end of 2 hours finishing the game, right? Instead of quitting at the very first world. So
there's games I've quit near the end because there's some sort of complex bullshit thing that, like, I remember there was a Russian game, and at the end there was a giant monkey that would come at you like a zombie monkey or something, and normally throughout the whole game you fight shit, you shoot it, you attack it with weapons, whatever else is in the game at the time. Turns out there was some slick thing that somehow you were supposed to slide past this giant animal that could kill you in one crush. You're supposed to slide around him quickly and run away from him. And I never would have thought that, because the whole game and the gamification had taught me that you kill and fight. There was never just slide around the dude and run. And it was impossible to slide around this dude. This dude could hit you once and kill you. And I quit the game for like 6 months, and I was really pissed off about it because I really loved the game up until that point. And just that one oversight, just really ruined the game. And then, of course, now you can go on YouTube and I think whatever. But you bring up a good point, because I used to be a really big fan of the Bungie game Destiny. And I love Destiny. I had 17 clans on there, 1,700 people. I love the freaking game. But it got to the point of what you mentioned, where the people who were developing the product inside were so good at the game that they were turning the game into a job. And at one point, we figured out that if you did all the activities they wanted you to do every week, it was over 40 hours, closer to 80 hours. And this is during COVID, when we were all sitting on at home, and video games were the way we were kind of keeping ourselves social and engaged, and not worrying about how the world's going to hell. Of course, we were playing Division 2, which is about a virus being released and the system destroys the world. So that was real interesting to play during COVID. But we used to call it COVID apocalypse practice.
Right.
But Destiny got to this point where you could tell these people were so up in their own ass of the game, because they made it, they probably played it all the time and shit, that they expected us to live the way they did, and they got paid to do this. We would be just like, man, this game's turned into a fucking job, dude. And then they started coming at us with, hey, if you want this exotic gun, you got to get like 600 kills that are headshots.
Yeah.
And you're like, who's got this kind of fucking time? I get on here in the afternoons to,
most 20 minutes. I can play for 20 minutes.
Yeah, most guys get home. They got 20 minutes to play. They want to have a beer. They want to unwind a little bit before their wife starts yelling at them. Right. They want to play a video game. And 600 headshots.
Yeah. No, this goes back. Yeah, Chris, this goes back to what we talked about context, right? Like when you're developing a technology in a lab or internally, you're living with it 8, 10, 12 hours a day. Of course, every single in and out. You're forgetting who you're designing it, who that technology is for, right? If you're trying to bring that technology out of the lab and now commercialize it, let's say, right? Or that video game, if you're just around it that much and you forget what it's like to have fun, You forget what it's like to why do people game in the first place?
Yeah.
To have fun, to talk to each other online.
Are you serious? They do that for fun?
Exactly.
I do it because I'm a masochist or a sadist.
But you got to remember who's using that thing, and then what do they have time for? Like you said, I'm a family man. I have a 4 and a 6-year-old. I barely got 30 minutes to do any video gaming unless I'm gaming with my kids, right?
Yeah.
So at that point, it's like, yeah, I'll play Mario with you because that's all I've got time for, right? And so in that situation, you've got to remember, who is that target market that you're trying to sell to? How do they want to engage with that game? What are they thinking, right? So if it's about building clans, socializing, trash talking, still like, playing the game, it's a first-person shooter, right? And trying to do an objective with Destiny, that do they still remember who those people are and how they want to engage with that game? Are they playing in a basement? Are they playing online? Do they have a giant sniper headshot? Chances are, I know a couple of video game designers, like the video game designers got like a crazy 85-inch TV at their workstation. And if you're not playing on that, you can't see that target, right? Like, oh yeah, I can get that headshot. That guy, like I literally had a friend tell me that, like, I wrote off on my taxes an 85-inch TV monitor to play Halo with that back then. It's like, yeah, because now I can headshot anybody. That head's like 5 inches big. And so like, you're like, okay, well, listen, not everyone has an 85-inch TV hooked up to their PS3, right, or whatever back then, PS3, PS4, right, or Xbox at that for Halo. But you're like, so you've forgotten that like that most people that are buying this game, they're teenage boys playing Halo in their mom's basement. Like, it's not what you're thinking it is. And so they lose sight of that a little bit. And that's kind of where that discrepancy comes in. Right. So, yeah.
And this is important in product design because people aren't going to give a second chance. I said, I quit playing. I finally just quit playing Destiny. I'm just like, you know what? This isn't my job. I don't get paid to do this. I have fun. I kind of get paid to do it, but it's just not fun anymore. It's just work. It's like showing up 9 to 5, and you're like, "What do we got to do today? Oh, these same 100 fucking things we've done a million times." And for some stupid crap that we've gotten 50 million times. And just making it fun and interesting. And people do that. They make that mistake with a lot of products. We get pitched a lot of stuff on the Chris Voss show to review or look at. And like some of the stuff they come out with, you're like, man, you've been in a room alone by yourself for way too long.
Yeah, part of what I'm trying to get people to do, or at least learn about in the book, is how they engage with people. Like, if you had a focus group earlier, and you got out of the lab or you got out of the coding session, and you wound up playing games with people, you kind of get re-inspired by who you're making it for. You see, like if you are now watching, or gaming with, people who loved Halo back then, and you're like, yeah, this was cool, like hiding around in a map, finding new places to snipe you at, and then like talking to each other about it. Sometimes it's trash talk, sometimes it's not, but at the same time, actually that social connection, right? Like you're fostering that, you're trying to build something. So that's this whole understanding of what we call user experience, right? What is the customer's experience? Because you're right, the minute they have a bad experience, they're not using your product or service anymore.
Yeah,
right?
They're out.
So you really got to understand, what is that user experience from start to finish, from picking up the product to putting it down, or if it's a service, you're going in to buy something, like even if you're just ordering fast food, what is that service, right? People really need to spend a lot of time and money tailoring that, such that service experience, that experience that you feel when you like go in to order fast food is tailored to you, is efficient, is whatever it is that makes you go, yeah, I'm going back. Because if you have to stand in line for it for more than, let's say 20 minutes to get a burger, you're probably not going to go back to that restaurant.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So what else do we need to talk to about in some of the work you do? You do consulting, coaching. What are some of the things you do to help people and stuff?
Sure, Chris. Yeah, it's a little bit all of that as well, right? So I've got a couple things going on, right? Design Block is you can consider it like a lab, a part of the School of Industrial Design that teaches multidisciplinary design thinking, a human-centered design. And then within that, you've got executive education, professional development, things like that, right? So within Georgia Tech, there's those avenues, and so we've done things for Fortune 500 companies, other universities, right? I think I have to. There is a contract in the works. I think I've done it in the past, but we're re-upping it for the fall. I have to be in South Africa to teach some there's a university there, and then to teach the faculty how these entrepreneurship techniques and how to empathize, how to understand context and how it might affect young entrepreneurs, right? Because they're standing up an entrepreneurship hub over there. So in academia, in consulting clients, I do private consulting. I've had clients like Home Depot or Panasonic or things like that, where we are teaching these similar methods, but obviously in a much more commercial setting, right? So we're looking at, what are your processes for bringing a product to market, and then how does your human resources, your financial resources, your timeline, your supply chain, all the operations, how does that fit into this way of getting your stuff out to customers quicker, earlier, before you cut steel? Because when you cut steel, it's too late. The factory's already churning them out. You can't make changes. So how do you make changes early, in your development process? And some industries, they don't, their customer focus groups after the product's already launched. And that might not be a good idea. We're working with, work with executives, C-suite and Fortune 500 companies to kind of understand their processes and hope to incorporate some of these techniques into their dev cycle.
Did you get can people access you off your Georgia Tech website, or is there another one?
So they can, the Georgia Tech one, yes, if they look up id.gotech.edu, right, then there's a people tab, I'm right there. Private consultancy is just Wayne Lee Design, WAYNELI design.com. So that's the easy way to get in a hold of me. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome sauce. So as we go out, give people a final pitch out to order up your book and all that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Chris, for the opportunity to talk about it. It's been a fun half hour here, right? Just talking about video gaming, right? It's just cool.
Yeah.
So
I'll get you the number for Bungie so you can call them up so you can fix the problem.
Sure. Yeah. Happy to go to talk to somebody in the studio. Yeah. But yes, if you're interested in kind of these ideas, these design behaviors with specifically this design empathy and contextual awareness, right? It's a book. It's got business cases in it. It's got some anecdotes of my time being a car designer, and then homeware, housewares designer for Pottery Barn in it as well. And then if you want to learn more about just how to practice, right? How to empathize. Everyone has the potential to be empathetic, to be creative, right? It's whether or not they actually take the time to practice it. So I think part of that is this book, Design Empathy and Contextual Awareness. If you go to Amazon.com, just type in my name, Wayne Lee, last name spelled L-I, and Design Empathy. It should pop up. It's the first link. So I just do a search there and pick it up if you're interested in learning more.
So fun is fun. Thank you very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it, Wayne.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Chris. Great to be here.
Thank you. And thanks for tuning in. Order up his book where refined books are sold. And really important as a entrepreneur to understand this, or a CEO. Maybe we can work on the design if you own a cable company, on how you handle the phone calling customer service system, or hospital, or anyone in the medical field, or anyone at GoDaddy. Serious, that same music has been playing on GoDaddy's hold system for the last, when we started the show 17 years ago. I swear to God, it's the same music. Please make an end. So order up his book where refined books are sold so we can do that. It is called Design Empathy and Contextual Awareness, Frames of Reference for the 21st. Let me recut that. Design Empathy and Contextual Awareness, Frames of Reference for the 21st Century Creative. And I'm going to write a book on how to enunciate. So check that out, folks. Out September 2nd, 2025 by Wayne K. Lee. Thanks, Wayne, for being on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Chris. Pleasure.
Thank you. And thanks to my audience for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss. Chris Voss, one of the TikTok and all those crazy places in it. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time. That should have us out.